In this third webinar in our four-part series, we'll review many of the concepts from the second webinar, including creating and converting tags. We'll also look at how to use CommonLook in some slightly more advanced situations. So, again, I'll navigate to a PDF that I have open, go to the toolbar in Acrobat, choose Plugins, then CommonLook, and then CommonLook PDF GlobalAccess. When CommonLook opens, I'll navigate over to the Tags panel on the left-hand side of the screen and double-click, or again use my arrows to open the tag root. Just like in the second webinar, we'll navigate down through the tag tree, making sure that the correct tags are being used for the content and making sure that the reading order is correct. In this situation here, when I select the first paragraph tag in the tag tree, I notice that in the physical view, only half of the title of the document is selected. Similarly, when I click on the second paragraph tag, I get the second half of the title. Now, we could fix this problem a number of different ways. Last time in the second webinar, we highlighted it in the physical view, created a heading 1 tag, and then made sure to level up or Control P to push the H1 out of the tag that was already there. Another way to solve this situation here would be to select both paragraph tags. Again, to either right-click, choose Merge Tags from the context menu, or choose Control M to merge them, and then of course convert to an H1. Now that I've got my title all in one H1 tag, I'll select the next tag in the tag tree, which is a figure tag, and in the physical view, I notice that it's just the decorative black lines going horizontally across the top of the page. They don't convey any important information, so I don't need to have them in the tag tree. I can right-click on that figure tag, and the first option in the context menu is to untag that figure tag. Or I could use the keyboard shortcut of the delete key. Now, you'll notice that when I delete that figure tag, it doesn't actually remove the black lines from the page. They still show up there visually, just that a screen reader is not going to try to read that figure tag to someone. Now we have a table tag selected in the tag tree, and in the physical view, it's highlighting an image for the stage at the music festival and some text over on the right-hand side. Clearly, this is a situation where a table was used for formatting purposes in the source document, but it's not actually a data table. If we leave a table tag in the tag tree, this is going to convey incorrect information to someone who's using a screen reader. They're going to think that there's a table there when in fact there isn't. To solve this situation, right-click on the table tag, and about 2/3 of the way down the context menu is the option to linearize the table. I'm going to choose to linearize horizontally. When we do that, notice that the table tag is now gone from the tag tree, and we have a figure tag for this image at the main stage at the music festival, and then paragraph tags for the text that was on the right-hand side of the page. I'm going to return to the figure tag because this one does convey some information, so I need to give it alternative text. With the figure tag selected, I will navigate over to the Properties panel on the right-hand side of the screen, and in the Alt Text field, I'll type in the alt text that I need for this image. Once you're done typing your alternative text, hit the Tab key on your keyboard to make the changes stick. You'll notice as well that the Has Alt Text checkbox gets checked when you hit the Tab key. Returning back over to the tag tree, I'll select my paragraph tags from linearizing my table, and I'm just going to use the down arrow to navigate through the tag tree and make sure that these are in the correct reading order. I make my way down to the paragraph tag that contains the text, "Please note, all pets must be on a leash or in a carrier." And if I hit the down arrow one more time, based on what I see in the physical view, I would have expected that dates and ticket prices would be highlighted, but in fact it's not. I'm going to return back up to the last paragraph tag that was in the correct reading order. I'm going to open it up using the right arrow on my keyboard so that I have that paragraph tag as a landmark in my tag tree. Right now, I don't know where dates and ticket prices is located in the tag tree, but I can simply highlight it in the physical view and CommonLook will show me where it is. So I see that it's a little bit further down in the tag tree. So not only is the reading order incorrect, but it's also in a paragraph tag, which it should be in a heading 2. So I'm going to use my keyboard shortcut Control-Shift-2 to convert that paragraph to an H2. The next thing is to move it up in the tag tree, placing it below the last paragraph tag that was correctly located in the tag tree. I could do this a number of ways. If I'm used to doing this in Acrobat, then you're probably used to selecting the H2 and dragging it up in the tag tree where you want it to go. I can certainly do that in CommonLook, but there's more fun and more accurate keyboard shortcuts to be able to do this faster. I'll show you the long way to get there first. If I right-click on the H2, then most of the way down the context menu is the option to change tag order. Now, when I hover my mouse on that, I get another menu that gives me options to change the tag order up or down. So in this case, I'm going to use the keyboard shortcut Control, Shift, and the up arrow to move that H2 up a couple spaces in the tag tree so that it ends up right below the paragraph tag that I have open for "Please note, pets must be in a leash or in a carrier." You'll notice that if I hit Control-Shift up arrow one more time, it doesn't accidentally nest the H2 inside that open paragraph tag. That's one of the advantages of using the change tag order function, is that unlike Acrobat, it becomes harder to nest things inside of tags where you really didn't mean to put them. Now that I have my H2 in the correct place, I'm going to close that paragraph tag again because I like to keep my tag tree as closed and compact as I possibly can. Below my H2 for dates and ticket prices, I have 2 paragraph tags, and these are in fact in the correct reading order, so those are good and I can just continue on. Next, I have another table tag in the tag tree. Now, in looking at the physical view, I see that in fact this is a data table, so this is the correct use for a table tag. In this situation though, I want to open up the table tag by right-clicking on the table and choosing to show the table editor, the last option in the context menu. When the table editor opens, I first want to check to make sure that the layout of the table in the table editor matches that of the physical view, and in this case it does. The next thing I want to do is make sure that my column headers and my row headers are tagged correctly. When I click in the table editor for the first cell containing the word day, I notice that in the tag tree it's marked as a TD, which stands for table data cell. Of course, looking at the physical view of my table, day is the first column header in this table. So in fact, I want to mark the whole top row as column headers. With day selected, I can go over to the right-hand column and hold down the Shift key and click the cell for 4-pack, which selects the whole top row. Then, in the table editor, there's a series of buttons across the top, and the 5th one from the left will convert these cells to THs, or table header, and will assign them the scope of column. When I click that button, I notice that the text in the table editor turned bold, but you'll notice that in the physical view it did not, because again, we don't change the physical view when we're just working in the tags. With these cells selected, I see that not only have they become THs in the tag tree, where they were TDs before, but also if I go over to the Properties panel over on the right-hand side of my screen, and I scroll down, I can see that they have scope, and the scope has been set to column. Similarly, in the table editor, I'm going to click the cell for Tuesday, then I'm going to hold down the Shift key, go down in the bottom of the left column to 3-day megapass, select those cells, and then at the top of the table editor, the fourth button from the left will convert those to TH and assign them the scope of row. Again, I can see in the tag tree that I've got TH cells, and in the properties panel on the right hand side, I can see that the scope has been set to row. Now, this is a simple table, and that's really all I need to do to make sure that it's been tagged correctly and will be read correctly by assistive technology. However, please note that we did receive requests for doing a webinar on more complex tables, so we will be doing that in the future. Please send an email to info@commonlook.com to find out when we will be scheduling that webinar on complex tables. For now, I'm just going to close the table editor. I'm going to return to the tag tree and close my table tag, and I can continue working through my document. Below the table tag, I have a paragraph tag for location in the physical view. So the reading order is good, but it should be in H2. So again, with my keyboard shortcuts, I'm going to choose Control-Shift-2 to convert that to an H2. Now, the paragraph tag below the H2 for location, I was hoping was going to be the paragraph in the physical view underneath the heading for location, but in fact, I see that when I select that paragraph tag, it jumps over to the right side of the screen, the right side of the page, for the heading for participating vendors. So while I'm on this tag, the reading order is not correct, but I'm going to convert that to an H2 as well using Control-Shift-2. Then the next paragraph tag below participating vendors, I was hoping that one was going to be the paragraph about the location, but in fact, with that selected, I noticed that not only is it going to read the top line of the paragraph about the location, but it's also going to jump across the page and read the first list, or the first item in the list of participating vendors. Similarly, the next paragraph tag will jump across the page as well, and so will the third and the fourth. In this situation, I'm just going to highlight the paragraph about the location. I'm going to navigate to the Insert Tag tab. I'm going to choose the button to insert that text into a new paragraph tag. In the tag tree, I can notice that my new paragraph tag has been created, and it contains the text about the location, but it's pretty far away from the H2 dealing with location. So I could drag it like in Acrobat. I could do Control-Shift up arrow and move it up in the tag tree. But if you have to move something a longer way, another way to go about this would be to either right-click and choose Cut, or notice the keyboard shortcut Control-X. So I cut that tag. I'll click on the H2 because that's where I want to paste it right below. And then right-click, notice the context menu, there's Paste, and then Paste as Sibling, or the keyboard shortcut Control-V. When I choose to paste as a sibling, then that paragraph about the location will be placed in the tag tree immediately below the H2 about the location. Then we have our H2 for participating vendors, and then in the tag tree, we have kind of a mess, but in the physical view, we have a list. So just like in the second webinar, in the physical view, I'm going to highlight the list, including the bullets. I'm already on the Insert Tag tab, so about halfway across the ribbon on the Insert Tag tab, I'm going to go to the Generate Tag from Selection Group, and I'm going to choose the button to create a list. Again, the list is nested inside one of the tags that was already there, just like our H1 when we created that in the second webinar. I'm going to right-click and choose Level Up, or remember the keyboard shortcut Control-P to push that out. And then when I do my cleanup to get rid of the empty paragraph tags that are left behind, again, right-click, choose Cleanup, and then remember that the safe one is Skip Empty Cells, Control-E, so that cleans everything up. So now I have my H2 for participating vendors, and then I have my list. Now, just like in Webinar 2, we're going to open up this list, make sure that my list items contain labels with the bullets and the L bodies for the text for each of these list items. Continuing on, The next paragraph tag is actually good, so I can move on from here. Now we have 3 figure tags in the tag tree. When the first one is selected, I see that it's actually the logo for Pet Warehouse on the right side of the page. So I'm going to use Control-Shift down arrow and move that down in the tag tree. Now the first figure tag is the logo on the left for Q99.4. The figure tag in the middle is the logo in the middle, and then the figure tag, the third figure tag, is the logo on the right for Pet Warehouse. Continuing on through our tag tree, we've got one more paragraph tag, and this is correct in that it's a paragraph, but I see in the physical view that there's a link to our sister city, Ottawa, Ontario, Canada. So I want to make sure that that link was tagged correctly. If I open up the paragraph tag, I see that there's an annotation, which is for the link. You've seen this in Acrobat as the object reference, but I don't have a link tag. So in the physical view, I'm just going to highlight the text for the link and make sure in the tag tree that I also got the annotation. I actually got the exclamation point after the link, so I'm going to hold down the Control key and deselect that. And then I'm going to take the text that I selected and the annotation and go up in the Insert Tag tab to the Other Tags group. And in the first column, the second button down is to insert a link tag. So we have our text elements, and then we have the link tag, and then we have the text for the exclamation point after the link. So there's my link properly tagged. Now please keep in mind too that link tags don't convey any structural information, so I don't want to push the link tag out of the paragraph tag that it got placed inside of. This in fact is correct. Most tags you're going to want to push to the root level, but link tags are one of the kinds of tags that you don't. Right, so we've walked our tag tree, we've verified the reading order, we made sure that the correct tags were being used, we're ready to run our verification. I'll navigate over to the right hand side of the screen to the Standards panel. I'll open up Standards, open up Structural and Accessibility. I'll choose again ISO 32000, How to Make a PDF, and WCAG 2.0, the new Section 508. And then I'll hit the full button to run a full check. Just like in Webinar 2, when the results panel opens, I'm going to change my filter from all because I don't care about what's not applicable or what passed. I only want to see what failed, what do I need to manually verify, and what warnings do I have. So the first failure that I get is for a figure tag not having alternative text. When I hover my mouse over the description, I see that the little tooltip pops up telling me that the figure tag doesn't have alt text. If I can't read that fast enough, I can right click, choose Edit Checkpoint Status, and get the status dialog box which explains what's going on in this failure. Similarly, to fix the issue because it's a failure, I can double click to get the fix wizard, and it will take me step by step through fixing the problem. Again, the description, figure tag doesn't have alt or actual text, so I have a few options here. I can give it some kind of text, I can convert the tag, or I could untag it. In this situation, I'm going to give it text, and I'll hit next. Now this seems a bit redundant, but CommonLook is just asking me to be more specific as to which kind of text I want to give it, and I want to give it alt text, and again I'll hit next. And then I'll type in what my alt text should be. Logo for radio station A105.8 and hit finish. The next failure that I have is for the link tag. Now this failure here is for the parent tag of the link annotation, doesn't have alt text, so the link tag needs to have alt text. The next failure down is for the link annotation itself not having contents. So WCAG wants one or more of those things to be true. So if I choose the first failure, I can either double click to get the fix wizard, or also I can right click on it and choose fix, to get the fix wizard. Now CommonLook is going to automatically take the text that's in the link tag and make that the alt text for the link. In this case, that's fine. So I'm just going to go ahead and hit finish. Notice that the failure for the annotation now has gone away, but we're going to see it again lower in the results panel in the warnings. The next failure that I have is for the tab order on page 1 is not defined by the structure tree. When you have links or forms in your document, you need to make sure that the tab order follows the tag tree or the logical structure. In this case, there's only one correct solution to this problem, so all I have to do is hit finish. Finally, my last failure is, this came up in the second webinar as well, the viewer preferences dictionary is not set to display the document title. In the fix options, this is a little easier to understand. Set viewer preferences to display the document title as opposed to the file name. I'm going to go ahead and hit finish. Now we have a number of user verification items. So for example, we had the figure tag at the top from when I linearized the table. I gave it alternative text. Otherwise, we would have gotten a failure for a figure tag not having alt text like we did lower on the page. But now that we have alt text here, CommonLook wants me to verify that the alt text is actually accurate for this image. With this first user verification item selected, it shows me in the tag tree that we're talking about this figure tag. And in the properties panel on the right hand side of the screen, I can see the alt text, the main stage at the music festival. In this case, this is fine. So I'm just going to right click and choose change status to passed. The next user verification item is for the logo for Q99.4, the first of these 3 figure tags lower down in the tag tree. However, the alternative text looks like the URL for the radio station. So in fact, I'm going to change that alt text to say logo for radio station Q99.4. I'm going to hit the tab key again to make the changes stick. Now you'll notice that the alt text that I just typed in doesn't match the alt text that's listed in the results panel. So to refresh my results, I'm going to go back to the standards panel. I'm going to choose ISO 32000, hold down the control key and choose WCAG again because those are the 2 standards that I tested against. And then I'm going to hit the incremental button this time. That will refresh my results panel so that when I select the first user verification item now, it's still on the logo for Q99.4, but the alt text is accurate. Now that I see that it's correct, I can just change the status to passed. Continuing on through these user verification items, the next one is for the logo in the middle. We've got the alt text logo for radio station A105.8, so I can just change that to passed as well. The next one is the logo for Pet Warehouse, but the alt text is dog, so I'm going to edit that. Remember to hit the tab key when you're done typing your alt text, and then go back to the standards panel, choose the standards that you ran, so ISO 32000 and WCAG, hit the incremental button to refresh your results, and then I can change my status to passed. We've got the alt text for the link, Ottawa, Ontario, Canada. I see that that's correct, so I can just change that to passed as well. Now the next item is for the list, our list numbering value. If I'm not sure what the checkpoint is asking me for, I can right click and choose edit checkpoint status, get the description. Please verify that a list numbering value of circle for the list is appropriate. If I close this and go over to the properties panel for this list tag, I can see where the list numbering value has been set to circle. This is correct, so I'll mark it as passed. Just like we had in the second webinar, the next checkpoint is for the color check, right? verifying that no information is being conveyed solely through the use of color, contrast, etc. In this situation, it's not, so we can change this to passed. And similarly, to verify the contrast ratio of 4.5 to 1. And in fact, this passes in this document as well. The next checkpoint we have is to verify that the document title is correct. Now, probably in a real world scenario, I would want the title to be something like, this music festival flyer. However, I'm just going to leave this for here because we are doing the GSA Webinar 3. I'll mark this as passed. And finally, for the user verification items, please ensure that the specified language, English, is appropriate for the document, and it is, so we can mark that one passed as well. Now, we're down to our warnings. So the first warning that we have is for the link annotation. Remember that we had a failure for the link tag not having alt text and the annotation not having contents, but when we fixed one of those issues, the other one becomes a warning. Now, with this warning, I could leave it there, but warnings sound bad, and I don't want my boss to see warnings in my compliance report. So, if I double click here, CommonLook is going to take the alt text from the link tag and assign that to the contents for the annotation. In this case, that would be correct. So I'm just going to hit finish. Now you'll notice that the warning changed to user verification. And so now it's asking me to verify that the contents is correct. It is. I just put my eyes on it and made sure that it was good. So I can just right click, change status to passed. The next warning is for the table not having a summary attribute. And there's a couple of ways that we could handle this. First of all, if I double click, I'll get the fix wizard where I could type in a summary for this table. Now, in this situation, the table is really simple. It's pretty short. And in fact, the sentence right above it says, ticket prices for the event are listed below. So I don't really need to enter a summary here. So in this situation, I could just right click on it and choose change the status to passed, or maybe skipped if I wanted to do that, or not applicable. I'm going to choose passed. The next warning we have, and in fact there's a number of them, for untagged path elements. And when I hold down the shift key and select all of these in the results panel, CommonLook shows me that it's all of the pieces that made up the black lines going across the top of the page that we artifacted earlier on when we untagged that figure tag. To right click and choose edit checkpoint status, CommonLook tells me that an untagged path element has been detected and that CommonLook has automatically placed those in artifacts. And that's in fact correct for this situation, so I'm going to mark that as passed. Similarly, we have untagged text elements. Just like the list that we did in the second webinar, the spaces after the bullets have not been tagged and have been placed in artifact containers. Now again, just like in webinar 2, if this was text that had been untagged, then this would be an issue that we would need to fix, but we don't need a screen reader to read those spaces, so I can just change the status here to passed because that's okay. And just like we had in the second webinar as well, this last one, page 1, contains content but does not define header or footer pagination artifacts. Please confirm that this is correct. It is in fact correct because there's no headers or footers in our document. So I can change the status to passed and then click OK. So I've taken care of all of my issues again in this document. I'm going to change my filter back from failed user verification and warning to all. And then I can choose the button next to the filter to generate my report to verify that I've made my PDF accessible and standards conformant. The report is going to be saved as an HTML file. It'll get the same file name that the PDF has, and it'll be saved in the same location where the PDF is currently saved. You can change any of those things except for the file type, and then save as needed. One last thing is to go back to the tag tree. So again, choose the Windows tab and then choose the Tags button on the Windows ribbon, then navigate to the tag root, right-click on the tag root, and choose the first option for Create Document Tag. Again, this just wraps everything up in a document tag and basically says this is one full and complete document. At this point, we'll go up and choose the disk icon for Save and Close because we've remediated our document and it's all standards conformant and accessible. If you have any questions, comments, feedback, or requests, please send an email to info@commonlook.com. I hope that this webinar has been helpful for you and look forward to doing other webinars in the future. Again, for webinar information or any other comments, questions, or feedback, please send us a note to info@commonlook.com. Thank you very much. Have a great day.